Hi, welcome back to part two. My co-host, I'm Steph, and my co-host here is Pooja. Pooja, your presentation in the last part was awesome. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank
And
you.
we are going to start into our next presentation, and it's going to be Kamal presenting on how open source changed her life. Take it away, Kamal.
Everyone, welcome to my session, Flutter, How Open Source Changed My Life. I'm Kamal, I'm a Google developer expert in Flutter and Dart, a YouTuber and a mentor. Well, this session is not like the usual session where I endorse about a technology or a tool or a product or talk about a use case or a workshop. This session purely emphasizes the importance of open source and how businesses are adopting open source, and how it impacted my career, and choosing one changed my life developing applications, and the perception about building a sustainable product. Open source has been widely adopted by organizations as well as individual users, and it has changed the way software is being developed, deployed, and perceived. I heard someone giving a very beautiful definition about open source, and he says that it's all about bringing people together from different professions, background, races, gender, and solving a problem together. What a beautiful way to explain open source, and that's what we've been doing. I've also heard someone saying managing an open source project requires different demands and leadership. It's very true, and it's completely changed my overall perception and my working style towards open source projects. I think if it is managed in the right way, if the open source is managed in the right way, it can deliver industrial strength system that meets user needs and provides solutions, which is fully extendable, maintainable over a long period of time. That is what we want at the end of the day. And the resulting code is also much more consistent and easier to maintain. So let's see what was my working style or my working model prior to open source. Well, I was working in an enterprise closed project for a decade. In fact, I was quite content with it, and definitely it had its own pros and cons. So in a closed project, we follow very strict guidelines, organized way of dealing things. They follow this design document and then coding and then testing, and definitely they avoid taking risk as much as possible, with a lot of approvals, rules, protocols to be followed. And finally, the information was all secure, private, and very less amount of information was actually exposed. But definitely it had a lot of pros as well. We had a very good support system. Anytime support, we used to get one. User friendliness, unified experience. So for these reasons, definitely sometimes closed project also works. And I was pretty content with this working style. And then one day, I felt that no, something is stuck. I'm not feeling or I'm not able to express the creative side of mine. I could feel that constraint. Nor I could modify any feature even though I knew this could have been done better. Either the protocols were kind of overlapping, or the license or the pricing structure was making me feel that, or it was kind of pulling me and did not allow to expose my creative side. And that's when I said, okay, let's explore what is all this open source all about. So before I start dwelling into open source, I always start looking at the history of it. What really open source is and when did it really started? So if you see, it started way back in 1950s. Trust me, it started way back in 1950, where we had the software and compilers delivered as a part of hardware purchase without separate fees. That was the first time. And then in 1970s, we had the IBM software. In 1980, we had Richard launching the GNU project. And then in 1990, we had the first version of Linux. Mozilla was started. Oversight GNU project. In 2007, we had Apache, developed and maintained by an open source community. We had PHP, MySQL was installed in more than 2000 plus million websites and 2.1 million web servers. We use a lot of softwares day in and day out, whether it could be a notepad, VLC player, WordPress, Ubuntu, Flutter, Android, and the list keeps going on. You must have observed that all of this are open sourced. Very hardly or a handful of software that we actually use is licensed or a closed project. Did you know that 44% of the organizations are started using open source as the rescue operation? Companies are changing their policies. They have made open source contribution as one of the mandatory skills. Initially, whenever they used to hire a person for a job, they used to look for, are you good at a Java, C, C++, or a particular tech stack? But now people look for open source skill. Have you contributed to an open source project? What are the challenges that you faced? Any libraries to the mention? Can I get your GitHub link? So these are the kind of questions have been posed to a person who's getting hired. And this gives a feel that open source is completely dominating the closed projects. And these days, companies have also changed their policies and made open source as the mandatory skill. So this gives a pinch that it's time to embrace and welcome open source. Well, if you ask me, open source is all about these three factors, and it keeps revolving around them. So the first being the creativity, flexibility, and the community. So it tries to let the creative side of yours out and being flexible enough to either perform or tweak any changes that you're looking for, and then in turn building a community. Because at the end of the day, this is built by a community for the community. When I started open source, I always had this preconceived notion that open source is free, and even these days people still assume that. Trust me, it's not free. Free here actually talks about freedom and not in terms of price. It's time to change our perception about it. We have developers, designers, architect, or even a person, if he's really good at writing articles, he can definitely contribute to the documentation. So the categories have completely varied, and we have contributors from different fields contributing all over the world. It's been observed many of the world's most powerful company uses open source for a variety of tasks. With the big techs like Amazon or IBM focuses on open source as an enabler for strong cloud solution. So the purposes are different, but at the end, it all serves one purpose, which is about open source and contribution. Many are realizing that open source enables them to compete at the level of larger tech companies and enables the flexibility, interoperabilities, and the cost saving that these solutions provide. Now let's see what are the benefits of an open source. So definitely there are several benefits, but these are something that I thought I could highlight. Customization. It can be customized to meet specific business needs. Engineers can write more codes and add an extra functionality, vice versa, delete unnecessary parts. The second point is the stability. You can see this project for a long-term project with confidence because it won't disappear from the market or become outdated if its authors stop working on it, because these are driven by the community. The user community will take care of it, of an open source software, and they will still start contributing. Numerous people with different skills may work on the same software, which may lead to code inconsistency. That's when the culture of open source is beneficial. Other developers around the world can come review, fix, update this code. The faster code review would happen, the more secure, reliable softwares are built. Authors and users improve a solution because they need it to perform well. We also have something called easier evaluation. As a developer, what you see is what you get. Full transparency of the source code allows your team to examine and evaluate product learning about its capabilities and flow. Definitely there are lots of advantages that you can think of using or benefiting from an open source. And that's how my journey started. And well, I started working on all phases, all zone, all technologies, starting from web, mobile, and then cross platforms, and now focusing on community building. So you can think of loads of stack languages. You can think about C, C++, Ruby, Java, Python. You name a language, Flutter, React, everything is open source. So always there are popular languages that you can actually view and see which can be adopted. So always it's good to know what are the languages that are coming in new in open source. Try to explore them and see what different you can come out of it. So we got to know about what open source is and how useful it is, how it's been adopted by companies very frequently, and how it's been impacting the current generation. Now, where do I start? I would suggest start with the most popular language. Look for the GitHub, kind of skim through all the popular language and see what of project types fits you. It could be security, it could be virtual reality, it could be a simple text editor. So choose your topic that interests you. Volume, don't pick a complex project. Look for projects that are labeled as first time if you are a first time contributor, or something easy to begin with. Get a taste of it and then start getting your hands dirty with complex one. So there are several ways to contribute in my upcoming slides. So what to learn? So the tech stack might differ day to day. Today you might be learning XYZ and tomorrow it would be a different language. But there are certain things which remain common. One is how you going to contribute, another one is the community part. Community plays a very important role. Giving feedback, reviewing it, comments, adding comments, accepting an idea, discussing an idea. So that is a skill that cannot be built overnight. It has to be practiced, and that comes only when you start working with communities with different mindset people, different culture people, and see how you can fit or what actually works for you. So next, what do I can really do with this? I would say that it's just not all about fixing bugs. There's something more than fixing bugs also. If you're good at writing articles, then please go ahead and documentation. If you're good at designing, go ahead and design the flow charts, or go ahead and writing the flow of this particular project. Pull request. If you feel, or it could be a cleaning up of a code. Cleaning up of a code doesn't mean that you're going to remove the comments and extra space. I mean, say if there is a functionality that needs a minimization or remove the unnecessary objects, or kind of removing all the infinite loops, or if that's something that could be minimized, try it out. That is what I meant by cleaning up the code. And if you feel the existing project on GitHub or a Bitbucket don't offer the feature that you're actually looking for one, why don't you build one? That itself is an open project. Understand how much time you need and who is going to potentially use this project and what kind of problems will you solve. If you understand all these criterias, it's really easy when you start an open source project, rather than you having a lot of confusion and trying to stop it and then again restart it. So do this proper analysis and then start up with your open source project. What next? I would say there are definitely a lot of things that you could do. See if you have a software that you've licensed software that you're using, and if there is a feature that you could actually pick and see if you could make a free open source out of it. That itself is the beginning of an open source project. Always don't try to reinvent the wheel. Try to see if you can come up with something innovative, easy, free, open source. And that's how my journey into Flutter literally started. And when I started using Flutter, I said, that's it, I'm not turning back. And after the launch of Flutter 2, every day you have something new happening with Flutter. It's purely free, open source. If you're new to Flutter, please check out the website flutter.dev. You would find the amazing features about Flutter. And if you're already working on Flutter, other than building apps, try also doing open source contribution. You have loads of issues. At least one issue in a week is definitely going to give you a lot of insight on how things are really happening in the background. So definitely check out the flutter.dev website. You can find the latest updates, and Flutter 2 also you have a lot of updates happening where it kind of same code base which is ships to native 5 operating system: Android, Windows, Mac, Linux, and the web experience targeting browsers like Chrome, Safari, Firefox, Edge, and it can be embedded in cars, TV, smart home appliances, providing the most pervasive and portable experience for an ambient computing world. So when I started building or working with Flutter and building projects, I did not see Flutter just as a widget. I always try to connect a widget with a use case. That's how I see it, because at the end of the day, customers are not going to get impressed with my working style of widgets. They're going to be impressed what I come out of using these widgets, right? So that's when I started using this Google Maps and a slider. So as and when I slide, I find a restaurant, I pick on it, I get a particular map zoomed. So that's how I build Flutter projects. The second one being the chart, where I could simply paste a table of data, but that was not my intention. I wanted it to give you a feel that, yeah, this is a kind of data I would like to see, which is live, animated, and at the end, it gives me the information that I'm looking for. So I used a simple animated chart. So I could combine the widgets with these charts and get animations out of it. And the third one being this sliver widget, I was able to get this kind of an animation where I was thinking, what kind of a use case could I actually use for the sliver? Then I thought, okay, I wanted something to display in the beginning and then kind of slide up. Then I was like, okay, the bank balance is something that we would like to see, and then we would like to see the rest of it. So that's when I came up with this UI. So as I mentioned, come up with different use cases and connect them with your widget. One such another project that or could be used more efficiently is the Dartpad, which is an online editor. If you're very new, you don't have to install any IDE. Directly head to Dartpad, start working on the existing repos that is available, fork them, see how innovative you can come. If you look at these designs, they are just circles and cubes or just some custom paints they are. But look at the innovativeness people bring, which is built by the community and for the community. So I'm sure you will also be the next one building something like this. So give it a try and see what you can come out of it. So at the end of the day, it all revolves around one particular aspect called community. Because open source is nothing but at the end it is like the driving force, or community is like the driving force. You build a good product and you kind of have good people to resolve issues, but if you don't have the communities to solve this, it's not serving the purpose. So get involved in all ways, whether it could be GitHub, in getting all your code, Meetup, events, Slack, Discord, Medium for reading articles, Reddit, Twitter, YouTube for watching videos. Get yourself connected with any of this and see how you can involve and make open source a more better place to work. And you can find all the examples of the use cases that I displayed on my slides on my GitHub. So what better way to start? Even if you don't find a project, you can fork my repo, you can contribute, you can work on any of the projects, you can work on the README document, you want to add something, you found a bug, let me know. That itself is the beginning for open source. It's just that you have to do it, and you can find ways to do it. And that's it for the session. I think open source is the future. We see web, mobile, cloud solutions are increasingly built predominantly on open source infrastructure. Open source is a good investment in future. Future architecture are highly likely to be based on open source. So then what's stopping you from using one or creating one? Let's see what wonders you can create out of it. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Kamal. Now we're going to do a quick check with Eleni to find out about our map, where people are located. So if you could give a quick update on that and how people can get their dots on the map.
Okay, yeah, we have almost 100 people that answered, and it's all over the world. Thank you, everybody, to answering and to be here with us. Yes.
Thank you so much. And we'll be, sorry about that. Yeah, we're going to also be putting up QR codes, and when those get displayed, scan them and add dots to where you are. We'll be checking in on the map as we go throughout the rest of the conference. Now we're going to be bringing on Kathy and Shams from the Google team. And let's see. Hi, Shams. Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Hey, Kathy. Hey, Shams.
Yes. Don't forget to scan your QR code too, because we want that in there too. So I'll have them introduce themselves, but before, for people who know the Dash, as you can see right here, I've got one, and I think Shams has one over her shoulder. Everybody's always talked about Nilay being the mother of dashes, but in fact, Shams is the mother of dashes. So we can all thank Shams. I even saw the YouTube video of when she was announcing the two kinds, because I wasn't at I/O. But welcome. If you, Kathy and Shams, could tell everybody, introduce yourselves, what you do for Google.
You want to go first? Okay, I'll start. I'm Kathy Walrath. I work on Dart.dev and I help Shams with Flutter.dev. I'm a technical writer.
Awesome.
And I'm Shams Zakhour, and I am the Flutter writer. We have one Flutter and one Dart writer, and so yes, I do love open source community. I welcome help, and Kathy certainly provides some help for me. And yeah, Dash is, go to the Dash page. You can see more about Dash.
What is it? Flutter.dev/Dash, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, if you go to any page and at the upper right, you can see bug and document links, and you can click those to fix anything you find on the page or to report any issue, because the sites are completely open source.
That's awesome. So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is, so you've got individuals, you've only got one writer here, one writer there. Your job's got to be hard. And I know you were talking about, putting in people with open source and all of that. But what's a day in a life like for each of you?
Oh, it's varied. But I try to triage the website every day, the bugs and issues. And I just noticed the other day, I was triaging the PRs and open issues, and it took me from about 9 in the morning to about 2 o'clock without lunch. So it can take me a long time. And then on top of that, we have writing assignments and editing assignments, and I edit, all the blog posts. And we also each run the Medium publication. Kathy runs the Dartling one, I run the Flutter one. And so we solicit articles, we edit articles, we, review, sometimes iteratively, we, yeah. Kathy?
It's pretty much that's it.
Yeah.
Shams's job is much busier than mine is, because Flutter is just a bigger site and has a bigger audience. But yeah.
Well, we want to thank you so much for coming on for just a real quick chat, introducing yourself so people can put a face with the names and know what you need from us, and that's keeping stuff documented putting PRs out there. So thank you so much for just a quick step in and saying hi. We appreciate your time.
Do you want to say something about docs?
Yeah. Can I mention one thing? I just posted a link in our chat, so I don't know how to get it to the larger chat, but last week or week before, there was a wonderful, the community's been great, for contributing to our site. And there was a PR submitted a couple of weeks ago, evidently on the Flutter thread on Reddit. People were talking about catching errors versus catching exceptions. And they figured out a way to do it that involves zones, which are something we don't document a lot because it's a fairly advanced topic. And there was just this great discussion, and in this PR, which is the link I've provided, and we ended up, the community really ended up making a very significant improvement to the docs, and it just thrilled me no end, and we love that. We love that. So please don't be shy, and I try to be really responsive. I'm the only person really triaging the site. And Kathy's the only person triaging the Dart site. And, we have vacations or sick days or lots of meetings. So, we're not always right on top of it, but we love the community involvement.
Well, thank you again for stopping by. We're going to move on to our next presentation. So thank you so much. And Pooja, would you like to introduce our next presentation?
Yeah. So our next presentation is by Aakanksha Shivani, who's talking about prevailing over hurdles. And I think the story that she's going to talk about is going to be pretty interesting in a way. She's been working with Flutter for 2 years now and a core team member of DAC KIT as well. I'm very excited to know about what she's going to talk about. So let's have Aakanksha here on the stage.
Okay.
Namaste. I'm Aakanksha Shivani and I have been working with Flutter for nearly 2 years. I'm a core team member of Developer Student Clubs, KIET. I believe that best way to learn is to teach. So I keep on learning new things on my own and give back to community as possible, which brought me to work on different projects. I have a continual source of motivation from the people around me who push me to do my best. Now, moving on to what I'm going to talk about. Gaining practical knowledge alongside academics was not that straightforward. In India, most parents are quite traditional when it comes to sending their daughters to university in another city. When I joined college, I saw most of the students living a religious life by partying most of the time. But I choose to be on the different side of it and join the tech community where I learned new things each day. I worked on projects collaborating with designers and other developers to ship the project to the end user. This helped me to expand my horizons beyond academics. In the same way, communities had helped me shape my career. Now, I help my colleagues to grow as better developers. Before proceeding further, let me ask few questions. Can you think of a word describing how you felt when you attended your first meetup? You can comment that word, or tell me in how many hackathons you have participated in till now. What new things did you learn when you first volunteered for the event? Now, coming back to the beginning. On a usual day of college, in the beginning of fourth semester, strolling through the college campus, doing the routine email checks, where I found one with the subject Apply for Google recognized developer student clubs. And at that moment, I told myself, this email is for you, Aakanksha. At that time, I was totally unaware of developers' community culture. So, keeping in mind other clubs' requirement process, I started revising my coding concepts and practicing them. But it was a community, not a club. In all, it was just the beginning of a beautiful journey with a lot of hurdles, obviously. When I attended the first ever workshop, the first workshop was on how to get started with Git. What is Git? What it is used for? All these questions popped in my head. Well, like me, I believe all of the attendees were also new to this. That small green square looked beautiful back then, and it still is. I still remember how our DSC lead introduced himself, and I decided I too need this kind of confidence one day for sure. One of the things which made me continue with this community was that some of the volunteers were my batchmates. So if they were volunteering, then what was stopping me? There's no perfect time to get started with your passion, right? I realized I was lacking guidance on how to get started with development. Which career track shall I choose? Which one I fit in? And at that time, I felt that this is the place where I will get guidance. But who knew back then that there was a lot more waiting ahead for me? And coming back to getting started with Android development. I was too excited for this session on app development. In the beginning, there were only few girls, but as days passed, I was the only active female participant in the bootcamp. One question that still bothers me is why there's such a diverse ratio of male and female. I couldn't search for a single reason why not to keep going with the bootcamp. Every single day I was learning and getting answers to the questions that seems basic now but were important to me for at that time. After the boot camp, all the attendees were assigned few tasks to complete and I completed that during the festive vacation wherein I faced few issues but as were instructed to ask queries whenever we get stuck and I very much did so. In that small vacation, I got the idea of how to learn or search for things we want to get done. After all, a boot camp can only provide you a track, and rest you need to explore and learn on your own. The time when I realized I had to start things from scratch once again. In March 2019, our lead made a group of students to work on our own ideas, starting with ideation, UI designing, defining the workflow of the app, and we almost ended up with what we aim to achieve. Along the way, I learned how to debug and not only just coding, I was learning so much about UI concepts as well. I think this is what makes difference between a club and a community. In community, you get to know people from different background, a space to share your ideas and re-innovating those ideas using the valuable feedbacks you receive. All of us went to our home for the long summer vacation and we kept collaborating remotely and when we came back, we had some cool projects added in our portfolio. Moving to the time when I almost decided to leave app development using Flutter and learn something else. When I got to know that Flutter is Google's UI toolkit for crafting application for Android, iOS, Linux, Mac, Windows, and web from a single code base, I purchased one of the best-selling courses of Flutter by Maximilian from Udemy and started learning. I kept on hustling with the same process of installing Flutter, trying hundred of Stack Overflow solutions, asking for help from developer student clubs community, and everyone who was learning Flutter helped me in all possible ways. But no solution worked for me at that time. On the 10th day, I decided to leave Flutter because of frustration. Like 9 days for just installation of a tool was too much to handle. Then I got back to one of my favorite programming languages, C++. It was also not compiling. One more headache. The Android Studio and Java apps were working fine. I noticed that error messages were almost the same for both Flutter and C++ setup. And after a few more googling, I got to know that the culprit was my operating system and got it fixed. Finally, The BC Counter app of Flutter was running on my device. I heard about a networking meetup conducted by an organization called Women Who Code. The venue was Google's Delhi office. Wow, I was super excited for this. The Google office and the vibes, like how it feels to be there. In 2 years of my engineering, I only stepped out of my campus with my local gadgets or with my parents. It takes around 2 to 2.5 hours to reach that location. Being the first woman in my village to pursue engineering, I had to go through quite a lot of questions. Like, what is this new concept of community? Why one needs to attend meetups? Why am I the only person from my campus who is going to this event? Why it's not happening in your own campus? Are you getting tricked into these things on the name Google? Who are you to get invitation to Google's office? These are just only few questions I'm sharing. There were a lot of them which I'm too embarrassed to share right now. I didn't discuss this with anybody because I find no one facing the same situation around me. I was told not to attend the meetup several times, but I still went there because I wanted to show them that it's not fake and also to boost my confidence. After visiting there, I was involved in several activities and found a new version of myself. I experienced a space where I was able to discuss social issues regarding women in tech, and yes, everyone connected to it, and we concluded it in a very fruitful manner. I was literally proud of myself. Now, come to the point when I started involving with the Flutter community. I remember I used to sleep for only 3 to 3.5 hours for 2 continuous months, along with the common schedule of college and monthly exams. We were allowed to work in our workspace of Developer Student Clubs KIET for some specific time duration, but as need of time for my projects increased, I took permission from the college administration for extra working hours in the labs. That was the time when I started loving the process of solving issues and bugs. I still remember how happy I used to be when I started achieving those small goals, and slowly my apps were taking the shape to a fully functional projects. No doubt, there were many things I was not aware of, but my teammates were always there to keep track, giving feedbacks, and also they used to tell me how they solved the problems which I were dealing with. It was of a great help. Just before the day of Death Fest in the night, I slipped on the stairs and injured my leg. That was a bad day. I did all possible first aid so that I can at least walk the next day, but early in the morning, my right leg was not allowing me to even stand. I kept ignoring the pain whole day. I met with different kind of developers and people whom I met during my first meetup of Women Who Code. I attended all my star mark sessions and literally gained a lot. I would never forget the experience in my life and the change it brought in me. Now, moving on to the time when me and my teammates organized a hackathon as a core team member of Developer Student Clubs KIET. I used to see my teammates and batchmates participating in hackathons and winning awards there. I wanted to do the same, but these events were usually of 12 to 12 hours, and a night stay at the venue is a must, which was quite difficult for me. I had examples of other girls participating from my campus too, for my parents, but I wasn't allowed to participate in events happening other than my own campus. I tried my best to convince them. I gave all possible references, but all went in vain. So, after a moment, I thought that if there's no hackathon for me to attend, then why not to give my best to organize one? My team, and I did everything from the scratch, like registrations, emails, posters, and banners for the campus area, snacks arrangements, and we called our college alumni for judging the hackathon. Overall, it was a new and amazing experience, and I learned a lot from the participants. As I mentioned above, the hope for participating in the hackathon as an attendee died too early, but due to the COVID pandemic, things started to shift to online mode. And then I started participating and marked some remarkable achievements. Overall, I built my own path and constantly looped over the hurdles which came in front of me. Let's move on to the time when we introduced Flutter in my campus. After the small winter break, we all came prepared for the boot camp. Yes, we all, as it's all about team efforts and contributions. We sat down and distributed designs, registrations, and all management work equally. It began with the research over Flutter boot camps to frame the best beginner specific content for our audience. The content was around introduction to development with Flutter, creating UI with Flutter, building apps with state, leveraging Flutter packages, structuring Flutter apps, supported with hands-on project development to make it interactive. It was delivered in a way in which students get to know about major concepts, and it left them with an enthusiasm to explore the topics. All that time and after, we kept an attentive approach to the queries and helped the students to figure out all small and big issues through our workspace and online channels. Surprisingly, the most frequent issue came out to be the installation, as many of the students' devices didn't have the prerequisites. It became a challenging part to be dealt with in the beginning, but once it was resolved, the process became smooth. I was overwhelmed by the response I received. I experienced for the first time that I were able to communicate my learnings to so many students, and they actually related to the content I delivered. What is developer student clubs? If I haven't told you already about developer student clubs, then Google Developer Student Clubs is an initiative to help students to grow their knowledge on developer technologies and more through peer-to-peer workshops and events and gain relevant industry experience. The motive is to create an ecosystem of programmers and developers in the campus by helping them to learn and build projects, helping students bridge the gap between theory and practice. How I benefited being a part of a community. Being a part of community, it helped me grow myself to work with confidence in different environments. Building team projects in community gave me upper edge on tools in collaborative work. Delivering content to peers and students gave a boost to my communication skills. Volunteering for different events growed my management skills and leadership. In a nutshell, this is how I started my developer's journey, and getting involved in community is the best one should experience. So, what I believe, hard work always pays off, and smart work is icing on the cake that needs to be prioritized. You can comment down your questions if any. Thank you, Flutteristas, for having me and giving me this opportunity to speak up and share my journey. I hope I was able to motivate the attendees. Open for questions and feedbacks on the social media handles mentioned on slide. Once again, thank you everyone for listening me. This is Aakanksha Shivani signing off.
Wow, thank you so much. If you have joined us recently, if we could get the QR code in the top right corner, that would be great. Scan it so we can add you to the map that we're going to have. The next part of the conference is going to be some raffling for some prizes, as well as we're going to have another quiz. So can we bring on Sarah and Linda? Hi, Sarah. Linda,
Hey, Sarah.
welcome.
Hey,
Hello.
Linda.
Nice
Hi,
to see you
everybody.
again. Hi, Linda.
Even from the
Oh.
dash, everybody.
Great. It's always a party with Dash. So,
Yeah.
shall we go on to the activity?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
So, we have 2 activities coming up right now. First, we're going to do a raffle. And after the raffle, we're going to do another live quiz. So, I'm going to invite you now to go to mentee.com and enter a number, which should be made available to someone on the StreamYard. And then, okay. Yeah. I'm going to share the
announce
code
the
with
prizes.
It's 4791-7428. Yes, there it is. Thank you. And you can join with your ticket booking number that you got when you ordered your ticket. So we'll play that as soon as the raffle is over. So now we're going to raffle off some really cool training certificates, and I'll let Linda talk about that.
Okay, so I guess everybody is waiting for the prizes, right? So first of all, we have prizes for everybody. Before the raffle, we will announce these prizes. Our sponsors were so generous to offer to all our attendees prizes. And you will receive in chat the links and follow-up email just in case you miss them. We ask you only to don't share them in the social networks. The first free prize for all the attendees today is from Atria Institute of Technology that offers to all our attendees Coursera free lifetime license. Please only wait patiently for a week or two for the sponsor to roll out all the licenses. It takes a little bit of time since we are so many in the conference. In the next 2 weeks, you should be all set. Then O'Reilly offers to all our attendees 30 days full access to the whole library. The link will be shared in the chat after the raffle. And please do not share this link. You will get instant access after you fill out the form. So for our raffle today, ROI Training offers 10 on-demand vouchers for Google Cloud Certification Training, Associate and Professional Cloud Engineer, a value of $500 each, as well as three ROI branded long sleeves tees. The shirts color options are dark navy, gray, and white to our raffle. So let's go to extract our first winner, Sarah.
Thanks. Yes. Now we can click to spin. Let's see. Who's our lucky winner? Okay. So if that's your ticket number, you have just gotten a $500 training course. Very cool.
Congratulations. So first course raffle. Let's go to the next course.
Yes. Okay. This person has won the same thing.
Go and check your tickets. Have your ticket numbers ready. Third ROI course.
Mhm. I'd never used this service before, but it's quite cool.
Yeah, and has even audio, but somehow sometimes doesn't work.
Yeah, no, I like the sound it makes when it spins around. Somehow very satisfying.
Let's make sound noise for the winners. Congratulations. Fifth ROI course winner. Let's see who is.
Okay, 5 more to go.
Yay.
While we're
And
spinning the wheel.
I'm learning after the conference.
Yeah, I wish I could win this. It seems great.
Next time, next conference.
Yeah, exactly. I'm organizing them so I can participate.
Next winner, 7th course, ROI training course winner is. Okay, let's see. 8th winner to ROI training course for associate and professional Google Cloud Engineer certification. Okay. 9.
We have a winner.
Yay. Let's see the 10th winner for this certification training, ROI training is.
You're a winner. I always think of the 5th element when I say
congratulations to all our winners. Now we have three teams.
3 t-shirts. Long sleeve.
Long sleeve. And you have 3 colors to choose from.
Okay.
Trying to write down quickly.
I've got it. Don't worry.
Can I say something? I never saw the wheel so full of names.
Yeah, if you see it says entries 1777. That's because we've had that many people register, which is just amazing. I can't believe how many people signed up.
I think we are done with our prizes.
Yes.
Congratulations to our winners. And look in the chat for the links for the free prizes for everyone.
Yes, indeed. Now it is time to move on to the Mentee quiz. I hope everyone's had time to go to mentee.com and enter the code. And if you haven't yet, now's your last chance. And now you can share my screen, I think, and we can start. Which of the following is true about hot reload? Good. Hot reload rebuilds the widget tree, preserving the app state. It doesn't rerun main or init state, but hot restart will restart the Flutter app, losing the app state. Both load code changes into the VM. Which of the following is not a build mode in Flutter? Debug, test, profile, or release? Yeah, this was a tricky one. There are only 3 build modes for Flutter: debug, profile, and release. We've had to cut a few questions because we're a little short on time. True or false? An isolate shares memory with other isolates. True or false? Good. All Dart code runs in an isolate. Code in a given isolate can only access classes and values from the same isolate. That is, there's no shared memory. Which of the following is not one of the 3 trees in the Flutter engine? Widget tree, element tree, atom tree, or render object tree? Yeah, this was an easy one. Oh. Which of the following is not a popular state management library for Flutter applications? Provider, DrivePro, Block, or Gedit? Yeah. There are many approaches to state management in Flutter. Provider, one of the most popular approaches, has a new version, RiverPod, which is an anagram of provider. And then the trick question was another anagram of provider, DrivePro. Okay. What was Flutter originally called? Dash, Target, Sky, or Fortune? Yeah. This is an either you know it or you don't kind of question. It has a funny story behind it. The founders were given a list of 6 possible names by their legal team for which the trademark was available, as Sky was already taken. So Flutter was the ultimate choice. What is the first function called in any Flutter app? Run app, main, start, or go? The entry point for all Dart apps is the main function. True or false? In profile mode, all debugging information has been stripped out. True, false. In profile mode, some debugging ability is maintained, just enough to profile your app's performance. Okay, that's it. Let's see how we did. Okay, there are our winners. We will be contacting you about your dash and or books. Ambrielle, we don't know who you are. Please contact us. Thank you. Great. Thanks for
Sarah.
participating.
That was awesome. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I know we were a bit short on time. I had to cut the quiz short, so I hope everyone still had a great time, and thank you for participating. Yes.
Pooja, do you want to introduce our next speaker?
Yes, so in the next talk, we have Thakker from India, who's going to be talking about animations in Flutter, one of our favorite topics in Flutter. She has been working as an Android developer in Hyperlink Infosystem and has been involved in communities like GDG Ahmedabad and Flutter Ahmedabad. We are very excited to listen to Khushbu about animations. So take the stage.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Flutterista conference. My name is Khushbu Thakker. I am working as a senior Flutter and Android developer at Hyperlink Infosystem, Ahmedabad, India. Hyperlink Infosystem is a leading application development company in India. If you are interested to know more about me, you can follow me on my Twitter or my LinkedIn account. So my today's talk is about the animation in the Flutter. Here is the agenda of the talk. You will learn about the animation, about the type of the animation like code-based animation and drawing-based animation. Also, in the code-based animation, you will learn about the implicit animation and about the explicit animation. So let's start. What is animation? Let's see some examples. Have you seen this type of feature anywhere? Yes, in the Twitter, right? When you like any tweet in the Twitter, you have seen this type of animation. Also, when you like any post in the Facebook, you have seen this type of feature in the Facebook. So this is a small example of the animation, because using this animation, that feature is more attracted to the user. Let's see some more example. In this example, you can see the animation is used to navigate the screens. When user is scrolling one screen to the another screen, animation is there. Also, when user is interacting with the item in the list, you can see the animation effect. So this is the reason we need animation in our application, to highlight the feature of the application, as well as to know that there is something is happening in the UI. So animation is nothing, just a value that can be changed over the time. Also, animation is not aware that what is happening on the screen, because it's not bound with the UI. But for check the state of the animation, you have a callback or listener who provide you the update of the animation. Let's see how we can do animation in the Flutter. In the Flutter, we have a main two type of animation. One is a code-based animation and another is a drawing-based animation. Let's start. What is code-based animation? Code-based animation is nothing, just focused on a widget, which includes layout, styling of the layout, sizing of the layouts, and row, column, etc. And the drawing-based animation is standalone animations like game characters, transitions, and etc. So let's see what is code-based. Let's see the type of the code-based animation. In the code-based animation, we have a main two type of animation. One is implicit animation and another is explicit animation. Let's see what is implicit animation. Suppose you want to create a basic animation, an animation that doesn't repeat forever and it's just one widget or widget tree. Then you can use implicit animation. With the implicit animation, you can animate a widget property by setting a target value, so that whenever the target value will be changed, the widget will animate from old value to the new value smoothly. In the implicit animation, Flutter is providing a series of inbuilt widgets, so that using that inbuilt widget, you can start your animation in the application. But if you want to create your own animation, then you have a choice to create a custom animations as well. Let's see the implicit inbuilt widgets. In the implicit inbuilt widget, Flutter has a convenient naming for the implicit widgets. It's called animated foo, where foo is the name of property that you want to animate. Let's see the series of widgets. Here you can see the container. For small container, you have an animated container widget. For the padding and for the opacity, you have an animated opacity and animated padding widget. Also, for the alignment, you have an animated alignment widget. Let's see the examples. Here you can see animated container is used to change the size of the widget from one size to the another size. Let's see, you have used simple container to change the size of the widget. Now for check the update in the UI, you have to rebuild the application widget tree. But if you are using animated container widget, then you don't need to rebuild your applications because it will be handled by widget itself to change the size of the widget. In the another example, you can see the animated position widget is used to change the position of the widget. And in next example, you have seen that animated position direction widget is used to update the direction of the widget. Let's see the code. In this code, you can see I have used animated opacity widget. In opacity widget, you have to provide just opacity level and the duration of the animation, that how long your animation will be. That's it. You have to just provide this type of value in inbuilt widgets so that your animation will be work easily. Isn't it easy to use these built-in widgets? If you want to learn more about the inbuilt widget, you can follow the Flutter Code Lab as well. Now, here we have learned how to use inbuilt widget for the basic animations. Now let's start the custom animation using implicit animations. For custom animation, Flutter is providing a Tween animation builder class. And name suggests, in between object, you need to provide the range of the value that you want to animate between. This animation typically go in one direction as a tweening from start value to the end value. So if you want to create animation in infinite loop, then you have to provide your own logic to handle that animations. Here you can see the example of Tween animation builder. In this example, you can see the combination of multiple inbuilt widget using Tween animation. Now let's see how we can use Tween animation builder class. In the Tween animation builder class, you have to provide the tween value, which is the beginning to the end value. Also, you have to provide the duration of the animations. In the builder, if you want to provide any transform to execute in animation, then you can provide as well. Now, let's see the explicit animation. For an explicit animation, you have to ask 3 questions to yourself. 1. Which type of widget you want to use? Does it run forever as like infinite loop, like music player? Is it discontinued like small shape to the large shape and repeat again the same pattern? Does you want to animate multiple widgets at the same time? If all the answers of the questions are yes, then you have to use explicit animation. Explicit animation is a set of control for telling the Flutter how rapidly rebuild the widget tree while changing the widget property to create the animation effect. For this type of animation, it will be start only when you explicitly ask to do this animation. For explicit animation, we have again inbuilt and custom animations. Let's see the inbuilt widgets of explicit animation. Flutter is providing Foo Transitions widget, where Foo is the name of property that you want to animate. These widgets are automatically animated through the properties. Here you can see Flutter is providing size transitions, fade-in transitions, alignment transitions, rotation transitions widgets. Let's see the effect of these widgets. In this example, you can see the rotation transition widget is used to rotate the widget. In another example, you can see the fade-in transition is used to to give the fade-in effect in the screen. Also, size transition is used in the third example. So whenever these widgets are automatically animated through the properties. So when you rebuild the widget with the property value, then widget handle the drawing of animation from previous value to the new value smoothly. These widgets are very helpful when you are trying to animate first time in your application, as this providing the inbuilt property. So you don't need to add any complexity in the animations. Now let's start custom explicit. Flutter is providing an animation control class to handle this custom explicit animations. As name suggests, you are able to control your animations. Animation controller class is handle the four part of your animation. One, defining the animations. Another is generating animation values, registering the listener or callback to check the state of the animations. Also, play or sequence of controls. Animation control class is a subclass of animation. Also, it's defined the upper bound and lower bound value of the animation. Animation controller play animation in a forward, reverse, or stop directions. For this animation, you need ticker provider. So let's see what is ticker. Ticker is nothing, just send a signal at most interval regular time, around 60 times per second, is like your watch tick. At each tick, the ticker is involved callback method with durations, since first tick to the end tick. Also, all the ticks, even started at different time, will always be synced. This is very useful to synchronized animation. Animation controller is give you a control over the animation's behavior, like completed, reverse state, dismiss state, or forward state. Also, the most important, animation controller should be disposed when it's no longer needed. Let's see how we can define animation controller class. For animation controller class, you have to provide the lower bound value and the upper bound value. Also, you have to provide the duration of the animation. That's it. Your animation is working like. Let's see the example. In this example, you can see the original design is used for the Flutter application development. Now, in this original design, you can see the animations are used when user clicking any button or user is interacting with any listing. And in Flutter application, you can see the same effect is used using animations. Isn't look good and more attractive to the user? Yes, right? So this is the effect of animations, and we need to use animation in the applications. Here are the reference for the animations. You can use these references to learn more about the animation. Also, you have any doubt or questions related to this topic, you can ask in the live chat. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we have Mahtab coming to present, and we'll give you just a second so you can prepare. If the producers could bring back up the QR code and the map afterwards, that would be awesome. If you're just joining us, scan that QR code so you can mark where you are located on the map. Pooja, are you as anxious as I am to find out how many people are watching from around the world or where people are coming from?
Yeah, I just like asked everyone in Instagram and Twitter, where are you watching the Flutterista conference from? So I'm getting a few answers where like people are watching from Istanbul, people are watching from India, of course, and then other parts of the world as well. So I'm like, yes, how, like, let's see it right now, who all are watching right now. So
right, and we are having some technical difficulties on the back end.
Oops.
So okay, so let's see. Let me check just a second.
Yeah, this kind of thing has to happen, right?
Yeah, we're not seeing the map. We don't have the map right now, so we'll come back to that. Sorry about that little.
All right.
So would you like to introduce our next presenter?
Sorry?
Our next presenter.
Yes, so our next presenter is Mahtab Tadayon, who is going to be talking about from zero programming knowledge to software engineering in 2 years. So pretty interested to know about that journey.
Very much. Mahtab, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. And I'm very happy to be here today. And as you could hear, the topic of my presentation today is how I became a software engineer in 2 years without having any programming knowledge before. But before I start with my presentation, let me introduce myself. My name is Mahtab Tadayon. I'm a software engineer at MediaMarkt Retail Group. MediaMarkt Retail Group is one of the biggest electronic retail group in Europe. I'm also a founder and the content creator of Flutter Explained. Flutter Explained is a YouTube channel where Max Weber and me together creating our tech videos and presenting on our YouTube channel. Besides of that, I'm also a member of the Flutterista community, which is an amazing community, and we have weekly or monthly different meetups. We meet each other, we can ask questions, we can answer questions and support each other. Perfect. And now let's start with my agenda. First of all, I would like to tell you why I changed my career path from be an industrial engineer and change it to be a software engineer. After that, I want to tell you how I learn to code and how was it look like. And after that, to tell you if such a title like be a software engineer in a couple of weeks, in a couple of months, or something like that, that we can find on internet or on YouTube or something like that, makes sense, and if it is possible and makeable. After that, I want to tell you how I could learn to coding and didn't give up, even if it's not easy. And then the story about how I start with Flutter and learn about Flutter. And last but not least, how I landed my first job as a software engineer. Let's start off, I guess, 2015. I was graduated with my university degree of Master of Industrial Engineering. I was super excited. I was super happy that I could manage it and complete it. And now I was ready for any challenges that will come to me. At this time, I applied for some position and I signed an offer from a company, which is an international company here in Germany, and they are producing components for big pipelines. I got an offer as internal account manager there. That was a great offer. The money was very good, and I started with my role there. After a couple of months, I should admit, I realized this is not something that I would like to do for my whole life. But I should also admit that I was earning so good that I didn't want just to quit it. So I thought, wait, let's give it a try and see how it is turned out. And I have still time, and I can figure out if it's not suitable for me and start with something different. After 3 years, that was, I think, end of 2017, that I realized that was great. That was a great job. That was a good money, everything. But this is not something that I would like to do for my whole life. So if I go back and look back at the end of my high school time, if at that time I wanted to decide to study something different rather than industrial engineering, I would selected in software engineering. I wanted always to see how the coding work, how the programmers are working, and how these fancy technology world look like. So I decided to change my career out of 3 main reasons. The first reason was that, unfortunately, I got blocked every time if I wanted to do any improvement or promotion in my job. The second reason was that I didn't have enough challenge at my daily work, and that was somehow boring. And last but not least was my team and I had to work mainly with old technologies. So somehow lucky enough that I had enough reason to make a decision and change something. As I told you, I wanted always to figure out how is it to be a software developer. So I started for some Googling and researching to figure out how I can give it a try. And the answer for that was, at that time for me, Udacity. Udacity is offering a course which was at the Intro to Programming Nanodegree. In this course, I was mainly learning about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and a little bit of Python. That was a great, I think, around 5-6 months that I had. That was a great time. And that was a hard time at the same time, I would say. I learned so many stuff. I learned so many new things. I digest so many things, which was great at one side, but that was also exhausting. Probably I was not as cute as this puppy here, but I was looking as same as this puppy, exhausted. I mean, just small topics, just some small things that when I'm now thinking about them, I know them just out of the box. Like, you need variable. A variable is something that you can assign some value to that. Or you need function, you need methods, you need class. Each of them was a big question mark at that time for me. And that was not easy to overcome them. This is right, but each of these challenges make the life for me so much fun that I stuck in some problem. I could Google for them and find a solution for them and solve this challenge or problem. And after that, go to the next problem. This is how the software development somehow also working. So I would say after the 6 months, I had enough. My partner and I was decided to resign from our work and go and travel around the world a little bit. But if you are thinking that I was traveling around different countries and had just fun and traveling and do some sightseeing or something like that, you are most likely wrong, because my partner is also a software engineer, and he was always pushing me to repeat some stuff that you had in your course, do some coding challenges, do some write some small application for yourself, and so far and so forth. So I didn't have really just fun during our traveling, but that was great, so that I could stick always to coding and improve my knowledge and know-how about how to code further and further. We traveled around 6 months, and during our work travel, we arrived in New Zealand. In New Zealand, we decided to stay not just for a couple of weeks, rather than to stay probably for at least 6 months to 1 year. So I was like, okay, now I have time, and I should find an opportunity to figure out a bit more about software development. Therefore, I went to different meetups and tech talks. One of the tech talks that I went in New Zealand was Coffee and Jam. In this meetup, there are different startups, companies, and entrepreneur people, developers who are coming to the meetup, present themselves, present their work, and there you can do some connections. And one of the Coffee and Jam meetups, I got a connection with a company which was On-Site. On-Site is a startup, and they are writing an application for the farmers and for their contractors. Probably I should point it out here that the farm industry is one of the biggest businesses in New Zealand, and it's very important. And On-Site was creating the application for this huge business that is in New Zealand. So I did some connection and with the tech lead of this company, and after having some conversation with him and some meeting, he offered me a 3 months internship as software engineer in this company. I accepted as a volunteer. And I could start with my internship, which was amazing. And then now I could see how the real software development daily work looked like. In these 3 months, I learned a lot about coding. I had to work with the Xamarin. I could write end-to-end tests in Catalan and integrate the end-to-end test of the company in their CI/CD pipeline. Besides of that, for sure, I had also to paint some walls, but I had also a great chance to go in one of the biggest tech conferences for the agriculture and the farming industry. There were different companies, tech companies, which introduced themselves, where did some workshops, and I could also participate in some of them. And as you can see here in the photo, I could also present some solution which we had in the workshop. That was an amazing time that I had in this startup, and I could learn so much beside of just coding. I could learn about agile methodology. I could learn about software architecture and much more. But I should say, if you are working somewhere, at least that was the case for me, if you are working somewhere as a volunteer, probably your opinion is not as valuable as other employees. So I decided that was a great time that I had. I learned a lot, but I should go one step further and see what I want to achieve as next. Again, some cool Googling and researching, and the answer of that was Chingo for me. Chingo is an online platform where developers from all around the world are coming together and creating awesome projects. So I was accepted after I applied for sure. I was accepted in one of the cohorts, which was around 6 to 8 weeks. And I was in a team with another colleague from Japan and the other guy from Netherlands. And I was working from New Zealand. And there we started to work together on an Angular project. We were cloning a website with Angular and learned a lot about TypeScript and the web and also CI/CD and such stuff. In these couple of weeks, Chengo motivate and encourage the members of the community to not just coding, but additionally also create their first YouTube videos. They encourage also to write your first tech article and also participate in a hashtag 100 days of code on Twitter, where you be somehow in a community as well, where you can report about your daily work and you get also answers of your tweet. You can exchange with other community members. You can ask questions and get every day a little bit better. So that was great. That was somehow end of 2019. After the Chengo time, we came back to Germany. So in that time in New Zealand, I had worked for an app project and also on a web project. For me, that was clear that I want to stick with software development and I want to get deeper in this field and improve my knowledge. And for me, that was also clear that I want to stay with app development, but not with the Xamarin. So I wanted to search for a better solution. Again, starting with Googling and researching, and the answer of that in that time was for me Flutter. The Flutter community and everyone who was involved with Flutter somehow were excited, were so motivated, and tell so many good stories that I thought I should give it a try. Probably this is what I want to achieve as next. So, to learning about Flutter, I found a course from Angela Yu on Udemy. I started with this course, and that was a great start point for me. And I could also suggest this to everyone else if you want to learn about Flutter. I complete my course, I get the certificate, and I was like, yeah, perfect. I know now the answer, and I want to get better in Flutter. To improve my Flutter know-how, I had 3 pillars. The first pillar was I have to create my own application to get stuck on my own problem. To learn more about Flutter framework, I could work with CodeMagic CI/CD pipeline, which I set it up. I learned about Firebase authentication and collection and a lot of stuff. And also, at last but not least, I could deploy my app on Play Store and App Store. The next pillar for me was our YouTube channel and the YouTube tutorial that I created. I created some tech tutorial videos. If you are creating a presentation or a video, you have to learn about the topic that you want to speak about it so well and so in detail that you can explain it somehow that your audience can understand it well. So it doesn't matter about what I wanted to speak. I had at first myself had to sit and learn about that topic, which was amazing. And after that, I had also to did some live coding on our YouTube channel and also did some Q&A, which helped me to answer questions and also ask questions. And last but not least, the last pillar was to be active in community. So I get a member of the Flutterista community. When you are active in the community, you will get asked if you can give tech talks and present to the community. Besides of that, I also try to write more and more my Medium articles, be active in Twitter, because in Twitter, the Flutter community and the Flutter members are so active that you can get so many information and input. And last but not least, I continue to be active with my daily work with the hashtag 100 days of code. It motivates me really much. Perfect. So I learned a lot about Flutter. I could improve my Flutter knowledge. And now I was confident enough to go for the next step. The next step was for me to apply for some positions. I looked and searched a lot for some Flutter position, which was not so easy in the middle of last year. I would say that was also somehow in the middle of the pandemic. But I was lucky enough, I found a position which was on LinkedIn. And that was from this MediaMarkt Saturn company, which I'm working now at the moment. So I gave it a try and applied for this position. After a couple of days, I got a feedback from this company, and they were interested to have an interview with me. We had the first interview with them. In this interview, I had to convince them mainly that I'm motivated, I'm willing to learn more about Flutter, I'm willing also to improve my knowledge, and also for sure to convince them that I could do some Flutter code and also introduce them some project that I did. And then after this first step, I was invited for the second interview. For the second interview, I got a tech challenge. In this tech challenge, they asked me to create an application and use some of the packages which they suggested me. So I had a couple of days for this challenge to complete it. And in my second interview, I had to introduce them the code base which I wrote, and also introduce them the application which I created. After the second step, which was successful, I got invited to the third part, which was the interview with the whole team. And that was great. That was great because I could see everyone and also get to know them, and they could know me better. And from both sides, we could decide if this position is something for me, and also if the whole team can imagine to work with me. And the third step went also well, and I could land my first full-time position as a software engineer at MediaMarkt Saturn. My team and I are working at the moment on our application, which is a Flutter application. And I'm lucky enough to work with Flutter in my daily work every day. We have for sure a lot of advantages, but also some challenges, I will call them. There are great opportunities, and we know all which how amazing Flutter is in different kind of aspects, creating animation, the great design, and whatever we can create with the Flutter is amazing. But we have also some challenges. For example, in our just as an example that I can give it to you is in our company, we have different tools which the company is working with them. And for some of these tools, because Flutter is still young, for some tools, there are still no SDK, which is written in Flutter. So sometimes we have our challenges. We have to write our own SDK. We have to write our own repo for some plugins and SDKs. And yeah, I think there are still some improvement which needed, but they are amazing to work on a daily basis with Flutter. Perfect. So far I told you the story about how I decided from be an industrial engineer and do the whole journey and go through the whole journey to become a software engineer. If we want to wrap it up, I would say, yes, it is possible to be a professional software engineer in, I don't want to say 2 years for sure. Everyone is different, and everyone needs his time to learn the stuff, to practice them, to repeat and review them, and gets better. But I can assure you that there is no shortcut. So there is no shortcut. If there is no things such as, for example, yeah, be a software developer in a couple of weeks, be in 2 weeks, in 6 weeks, or something like that. Everyone is different. Everyone needs his time, and you should take your time and get better. After that, I would say you should be passionate. You need passion to sit in front of the computer, to go through all the stuff, to Google and search for different problems that you have, to find the answer for your question and solve your problem. As next, you should be motivated. To stay motivated is not always easy. But you need the motivation to stick to the problem, to finding a solution for your problems. But be, for example, in the community and share your journey with the community is always a great idea to stay motivated. And the next thing which helped me a lot, and I think it will help everyone, is to sit in front of your computer and code and challenge yourself. I would say, for example, if you're a person who doesn't enjoy to sit in front of the computer for a couple of hours, I don't know, 6 hours, 8 hours, and code and challenge himself and Google it, probably be a coder or the programmer is not a right thing for you, because you have to code and learn and repeat and do stuff and make your hands dirty. And last but not least, it's important that you are willing to learn. It's important that you want to learn, because the technology is growing so fast that you should be up to date. So you should learn every day. If we are looking just at Flutter, there are so many updates that they are coming out each day or each week. And if you don't want to learn, so you will be outdated in some point of time. And yeah, it's somehow doesn't make sense. So you should be willing to learn and improve yourself every day and every minute, I would say. And last but not least, I would say, don't give up. Stick to it. It's makeable. It's possible for everyone. And if you want to do that, you can do that. And that's it for my presentation. If you have any question, I'm more than happy to answer them. Just write it in the chat and I will have a look and can answer them.
Hi, that was great. I really appreciate Mahtab bringing that to us. And if you have any questions for her, like she said, put them in the comments. Make sure you put a Q colon in front of it so they stand out. Pooja, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I got a energy from her talk. Like it's 12:30 a.m. right now, but I am like so energized. And of how that was like a journey that you really want to get inspired from, and like definitely speaks a lot. So yeah.
It was awesome. Now we're going to be bringing on Jessica because we have another activity, and this one is called Escaperoom. So welcome, Jessica.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Welcome here. I hope you're doing very well. We're excited to hear about this escape room.
Yeah. So I'm Jessica. I hope that everyone is doing great. And I am a Flutter developer from Brazil. And I'm here today to present this fun escape room activity to you. So you can get in with QR code or this link on the screen and have fun. So escape room is like a quiz or like a puzzle. So you have to answer all the questions and you have tips to answer these questions and have fun. That's it. Let me know in the chat if you have some questions about the quiz. I don't know.
That sounds so exciting.
Yeah, and we have prize, right, Steph?
Yes,
Should
we have
we-
prizes, and the prizes will be announced at the end. And there's been tweets about it. So if you look at the Flutteristas Conf Twitter account, you can also see what some of the prizes are. But we will have those prizes announced at the end of the conference. So be sure to stick around for those. It's very exciting. Thank you so much, Jessica, for sharing that. Oh, Pooja, we had a great session, didn't we?
Yes. That I think it's been around 5 hours since the beginning of the conference.
Yeah.
That's a long one.
That was fantastic. I greatly appreciate you joining.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We are going to be wrapping up here, and then we're moving to another part. Viewers on YouTube don't have to go anywhere. Danielle will be starting up with hers. And thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Steph. I'm going to probably watch the next part of the conference from my bedside.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for joining me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.